So this week's episode of the Faraway Paladin finds Will traveling into the land, into the port town, into the port nation of White Sails. And immediately, Will is mystified and kind of just amazed by what he sees. Because for the first time in Will's adventures outside of the undead city where he was born and raised, he's now being able to visibly interact and see a lot of people and a hustling and bustling modern town. And that has been a lot for Will to take in. So much so that he was able to go and have lunch and eat really good and throw back some beers. He was able to go and visit a bathhouse for the first time since he's been reborn into this new world. He was able to get clean and just enjoy some amenities that this world has to offer that he didn't know that this even existed. He was also able to go and kind of travel across the I keep saying nation. He got to travel across the city of White Sails and just see all the different people being happy and living their lives and being normal, having stalls and food stalls and shops and clothing shops and accessory shops, and seeing that people there can think about fashion and people there can think about selling goods, and people can be around in parks and having fun, and children can be playing. Like, he's seeing like hey, this is a normal modern city within this world that's inhabited by demons and malicious people and malicious things with bad intent and demons armies and beasts and wyverns. He's able to see that regardless of the things happening kind of outside of this city, that people are still able to enjoy these modern amenities there, which is a really cool thing to be able to see. And for Will, it was kind of like a shock a little bit, but a shock in a very positive and good way, because again, like I said, this is the first time he's able to see that. Then he is able to go and visit the church, and obviously he's a traveling priest, and he's trying to spread the word of 𝐒𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐵𝐿. And when he gets to the church, it's kind of expected to what he ends up finding. He ends up finding a church that doesn't necessarily have a high level of a minor god, which is 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐿. And the reason she's minor is not because of ill importance; it's because the faith within her, which is that specific god, has just really fallen. So no one really has the divinity of 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐿. Nobody really has the word of 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐿, or a couple of other of the minor gods. So therefore, when people come and say that they're part of that, they're very skeptical, and they even need to do some kind of like magic to ensure that they could do detection for the divinity. In his specific thing for 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐿. Before that happened, though, he did get introduced to the vice, I guess, like the vice commander or like the vice priest of that church. And when he got introduced to that vice priest, he got to see kind of like who he is, and he very much seems like a corrupt person based on the stable guy, or based on the low ranking church guy there. He let Will know that he's into partying, and he's basically into using his position to self-indulge himself quite a bit. And he found out even more so, after talking to the bard, after talking to the merchant about what they knew, that the church may be a little bit corrupt, and the church has their hands in a lot of the ongoings within White Sails. So it's pretty atypical, but a lot of times, especially in these older depictions of different styles, the church is typically corrupt, and the church typically is very controlling. And that's exactly kind of the situation that Will has found himself in here. Regardless, though, before he's able to overthink that, the wyvern comes and attacks. Will's able to save the day, and our boy Will goes in and he strangles, by brute strength, he strangles a wyvern by using his muscles, by using his gussels, by using the muscles. He just basically chokes this wyvern out, to the amazement of everybody that got the ability to see that, as he was able to actually save White Sails and save the city, because it was being just completely demolished by this wyvern. A lot of people actually probably died during this as well, but he was able to come and save this city, which I thought was really cool. And he did that with the help of Menel, who was able to use his fairies and stuff. And then after that led him to be in the graces of the prince, which is a high ranking, which is, his highness in this land. He got to go and be in the graces of the prince. And that's kind of where the episode ended, to where, he asked him for help to go help the surrounding towns where they came from, because obviously they're getting attacked by demons. He asked if they could send an army. The prince educated him on what's going on with, they've expanded too much. They can barely keep the White Sails protected, let alone the other towns that border White Sails. They just don't have the manpower for it. So what does Will do? At that point, he asked if he could use his own money and his own funds to be able to hire, adventurers and mercenaries to take with him to go and accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. And obviously the prince didn't take well to that. You know what I mean? The prince is very methodical. He's he's a high-ranking person within this town. He controls the town. And, at that point, he lets Will know. He's like, I have two options here. I can grant you your request, or I can just kill you now, because obviously Will is not only their savior, but he's also a threat, because it was explained to us during the episode that the church has high-ranking people who are protecting the town, and they were out doing that. But Will might be even more powerful than them, considering that I don't think they've ever seen anybody literally just grab a dragon by its neck and just choke it out. So I think Will might be even more powerful, which just means that he is a savior, but he's also a threat. So the episode ends with the prince saying, I could help you or I could kill you. And, the secondary, you might say, like, oh, well, why would that happen? And it's just, he's an unknown quantity right now. He's an unknown entity. And when you have an unknown entity like that, you do have two options. You can help and put your faith and hope, or you can kill that person because you don't know exactly what they could bring good things to your city. They could bring hope, and they could bring demolition, and they could overthrow you because they're so powerful, etc. Right? So he doesn't know, and that makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense on why he would say that. But I like that he at least said it up front, and I thought that was really good. Overall, the episode was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I love seeing Will manhandle a dragon, wyvern. I love seeing him manhandle the wyvern. I thought that was really dope. I like how he called upon Blood's knowledge. He's like, if you can't beat it with skills, beat it with brute strength, and that's exactly what Will did. I'm excited to see what comes next, because when we look at the ED shows us that the vice guy of the church has a girl who looks like Violet Evergarden under him, and I hope that Will gets to interact with her. I think he needs some kind of, he needs some kind of female companion or something within this world, and I'm interested to see if that ever comes to fruition. I'll leave you guys on that. Let me know what you guys thought about this week's episode down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys being here every week, and I'll see you guys next week for episode number 10, episode 11, 10, 10, 10, 10. Yep, number 10. Peace out, my friends.